Hey, gang, thanks for joining us again on the Sideline. I'm your host, Mark. I'm here joined by
Zack and Scott.
And we're talking today about kind of a sensitive topic. Usually we come at you with some fun stuff. Scotty gives us trivia. I beat down Zack because he makes kind of ridiculous picks in fantasy football and stuff like that. But today, we thought we'd bring it back to a little bit more of just a 10-minute discussion about as we start the season for youth sports, we're thinking about sportsmanship. Because what we've seen over the last several years, and I've been involved like you guys, I've been involved for give or take about 30 years here at CYA. And you guys have both been involved in the youth sports world for a lot of years. Zack as a player, and Scotty, you were the president of the Booster Club over at Westfield High School for many years. And so we've seen sportsmanship and the challenges that coaches and administrators have. And so we thought we would do a reminder. We didn't want it to be kind of a public service message, but we wanted to discuss it because it has become obnoxious the way that parents behave. And we want to make sure parents keep themselves in check. So I'll start the conversation by saying that my own view about it, that it surprises me, all that we see here at the field house when you're watching kids on the courts, starting with the players. Often we'll see now players misbehave. And I attribute that, when I say misbehave, I'll give you an example. Often we'll hear profanity. We'll hear kids that the referee will make a call and a child will blurt out, "Ref, what the F?" And he'll say it. He's got now parents sitting in the bleachers. He's got the referee on site who kind of under his breath will say, keep it down. Come on, watch your mouth, that kind of thing. But the kid continues, and he continues to play, and he continues to jaw. He continues to say things as loud as it's almost accepted. Whereas back in the day, we used to think that our parents would enter the court and take you off. Like your dad probably would have said, is that my son that said that? You're out of here. And we don't seem to have that anymore. And I never want to be the guy that says, oh, in the good old days. But to me, the good old days in sports were more respectful. And I would like to see us get back to something where parents will take control of that. When you hear your child, your son, on a court, on a soccer field, first of all, never, ever should they say something to the referee. They should never, referees are going to make mistakes and they're going to make bad calls. And we're all angry about it as players when we're out there working as hard as we can and we feel like we got ripped off by the referee. Yeah, you want to say something, but you don't, because the parents, I hope, are teaching children that referees are the authority figure. They're to be respected. And I think that element, in my opinion, that element of respect is what we need to discuss and get back to reiterating with players and families. So I'd like to know your thoughts.
I have a few different thoughts on it. I'd like to start with Scotty. Scotty, you've got a little more experience in this. You've had 3 kids go through high school sports, and I just want to hear some of your thoughts on it first.
Yeah, I think things have changed, and I'm guilty. I'll admit, I'm guilty as a parent in the day of probably getting a little too fired up on the sideline. And it probably lends to then the kids getting fired up as well. And I coached a lot of youth sports, and there I get fired up too. It really opened my eyes. I'm a basketball referee, and seeing it from there, from the inside looking out. And I really think it's each facet feeds off of each other. And I don't think anybody's the blame or anybody is the cause or the solution. I think it has to be done by everybody, the referees, the coaches, the players, and the fans, all. Because I've seen referees, they think they're the show, and they start getting like that, that's too much. And then the kids think they can just say whatever, like you just said, Mark. It becomes too much. Then the parents feed off of it. They think that these games are NBA title games or whatever sport you're talking about. They get fired up and they yell at everybody, the kids and the refs. And then it just becomes out of control because each part is doing it. And I think it's something that needs to be kept in check, and I think it's only getting worse.
Yeah, I'm like you, Scotty. I think I can say I'm guilty of it, probably as a player, more so later in my career as a player, college level and afterwards. That was partly because, as you said, Leonard was around, and that Leonard might have taken care of that. But I think it goes with all of that. I have seen the referees that think they are the show and the game is about them. And It can't be that. You're just part of the game, and the game is about the kids. So I think there's that. I do think there's kids that are disrespectful, and I don't know where that comes from. Actually, I kind of do. I watch a lot of sports, and you see the sports today, and I think that's one of the causes for the kids. Every game you watch, whether it's basketball, soccer, football, baseball, the players are all over the refs. There's not a whole lot of respect there. And now with social media and everything, and we emphasize some of those things sometimes on the social media platforms. And you see a guy, for example, Draymond Green going after guys on the basketball court, or some football players getting upset and we're headbutting guys and pushing guys, or on the baseball field. Just last night, or 2 nights ago, the guy from the Cardinals, Contreras, he argued a blatant strike with the umpire, and the umpire threw him out of the game. And he was so mad at him that it took multiple coaches to hold him back, other umpires, and he ended up throwing his bat at the umpire. He hit his own coach. Like, there's just things, and that's what they're talking about on ESPN for days on end. So I think social media lends to it. I don't want to put a lot of blame on the parents, but there is some blame on parents too that
Totally.
might not be teaching that at home, or they're demonstrating it on the field. As we've talked, we've all been there, where those parents are yelling at the referees or yelling at the other kids, and those things shouldn't be happening. At the end of the day, it's about the kids playing a sport, enjoying the game, and having fun. But those are just some of the things that are my thoughts.
Well, just before we get to Mark, I'm just going to comment on one thing you said. Made me think of it. With the kids talking to the referee in sports, and really players in general, I kind of think it's the coach's job.
Yeah.
The coach's job in that situation should be the go-between. The kids, if there's an issue with the referee, umpire, whatever sport we're talking about, I think the referees and umpires deserve the utmost respect there. But there are times when a coach needs to talk to them, and it's not the kid's job to do that. The kid has an issue that the coach didn't see, the kid should address the coach, and the coach in turn should address the referee. I don't know if that's ever going to happen as a referee. I see it. It's hard for the referees to handle situations with kids. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of respectful kids out there.
Yeah,
there are a ton.
absolutely.
We're talking about a smaller percentage, but that smaller percentage seems to be getting bigger.
Well, and not only that, Scott, but you'll notice that the referee, just participants in the referee corps, is down across all sports. So in CYA, we have roughly 10,000 kids playing annually. There is not one sport that has a glut of referees, and especially now with soccer. So we've got a huge soccer program, travel soccer. We're always in need of more referees, even though it pays well on a relative scale for these kids to come out. They're making, a good hourly rate, but the kids are so beaten down by parents. And even, it gets to the point where from the sideline, and I say these kids, a lot of our referees are kids. We like to look at it that you've got players learning to be players on the field, and you're teaching them about the game, but we're also teaching referees. So in a lot of our situations at, say, a U10 or U12 game, you've got a 16-year-old referee, and you still have parents behaving as though it is a World Cup match, or that it's the Super Bowl, right? And they're going after these kids to the point where you can imagine another parent out there. If I'm the parent of the referee and you're going after the referee hard, and my kid is 16 years old and you're beating him down, I'm going to probably take issue with some part of that, what's happening there. I might say something to you. I might say something to the referee. Who knows? But it leads to bad things happening. And it all starts with a lot of this emotion that goes into it, where I think if the parents would look, we all say it. If you remove the parents from the game, the coaches like it better. The
players like it better because the parents do put a lot of pressure on the kids at times. But I want to go back to what you said. I just started coaching another baseball team, and one of the things I take pride in is I like to have a conversation with the parents and kids when it comes to certain things when we're on the field, that I'll take care of those things. I don't want parents yelling at other parents. I don't want them yelling at the umpire. I don't want the kids, for sure, talking to the umpire and the coach. Like you said, the coach should be that in between the umpire, players, and parents. And it's tough because we struggle to get coaches at times too. And that's a conversation for another day. And I had an incident this weekend, and it goes with what you were saying about the young kids. We had one umpire for a doubleheader. Granted, it's a 12U baseball game. So you can get away with one. It's not super fast, but he's a 17-year-old kid going into a senior year of high school. He's going on scholarship to Wright State to play baseball. So the kid understands the game. He did a great job. I want to give the kid credit. His name was Nick, a fantastic umpire, better than some of the experienced guys I've saw. But we had a parent on the other team that was yelling at one of my players, a 12-year-old kid that threw his bat when he swung. And it happened a couple times, and it's something we're working on. But this parent took it upon himself to yell at a child from another team. And you guys know me, I'm a little vocal, so I had to step up and say something to him about not yelling at someone else's 12-year-old kid. And the best thing about it, I thought, was the coach from the other team coming up to apologize, and he said that's not what we're about. So it's something they deal with, and he took ownership of it, and he said, I'm going to handle this parent. We'll take care of it. And I think he even asked the parent to leave. So it was something I want to say kudos to that coach. And it goes with what you're saying, that coaches have to step up, and it's uncomfortable at times because parents are going to give you backlash, and they're going to say, well, I don't have to listen to that guy. And if you want to do what you want and you want to have those conversations, volunteer to coach and step up to it, right? Because we can always use the coaches too.
It's a good point.
Well, and here at CYA, so what happens, the protocol happens this way, that if there's a parent that gets out of hand, it will often go to the coordinator of that sport. The coordinator would say, yeah, the parent did this. There's a write-up. There's a report of some sort, goes to some sort of a committee that looks it over within the sport. And oftentimes they'll refer it to me, and then I'll call that parent. And it's interesting that for parents that really misbehave, and I'm not talking about the minor stuff, but the serious stuff that we all, probably people listening to this around the country, deal with at least once a week, it seems like anymore, that there's that serious issue that you have to address. When I call people, it's one of those things that they're either going to be requested not to participate with their kids anymore, let the kids play and you stay home, or in most cases, they apologize to me. They'll say that, yeah, I got, like you said, Scotty, the emotion got the best of me. And I always wonder, how can the emotion get the best of you? You're a person watching the game. I get it, that on behalf of your kids, you're hoping that they do well. And there's a lot of emotion that goes into it. But my request as we start this season is, please don't get so emotional on the sidelines. This event of a game, it's a recreational activity. It's going to start and stop. They're going to go home, probably go to Chick-fil-A after the game and get nuggets and shakes. And they're going to go home, and dad's going to do yard work, and mom's going to take the kids. I mean, all this stuff is still going to happen. The game is so inconsequential that I don't really understand how it gets so emotionally charged that relationships are being damaged with other parents. Like you say, these coaches, the coach has now go to the parent and apologize to you. And I hope that parents will just kind of back off, and we start to learn the value of backing off, because I think there's a lot of value in it for coaches and kids. I think they'll progress. They'll probably appreciate you more as a mom and dad. Please don't get crazy with them, and support. Just be there as, if your child does well, that's great. If they don't do well, that's great too. We're here for every single player, no matter what the level is. And there's just as much emotion in the levels that are lower level players as there are in higher levels. But in all cases, I hope it's going to be just a little received as just not so emotionally charged. So
take a deep breath.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like we tell our
Take a
kids,
deep breath and life goes on.
hey, we teach the kids at home all of these things. Now we just need to teach parents on the field. But like you said, Scotty, to kind of wrap this thing up, in 95% of the situation, you don't have kids and parents like that. But the ones that are like that create so much noise.
It's that one bad egg.
Yeah.
It's it's a small percentage, like we discussed, but that small percentage is growing a little bit, and it kind of ruins it for the people that are doing things the right way and going about it as good sportsmen. So
yeah, and then it kills your volunteers too. I mean,
it makes it hard to find volunteers for coaches. It makes it hard to find officials, which is, like you mentioned, Mark, the numbers are dwindling quickly. So hopefully we can turn it around as a community and make it a little better for that in the Chantilly area.
Yep. Yeah, so if you have thoughts on this, obviously, if, we're always interested in learning more about other community programs here in Northern Virginia, but obviously around the country, we read about this stuff in the news all the time. So would love to connect with folks that are listening. And certainly send us your thoughts. We've got email. It's sideline@chantillyouth.org. I think it's just sideline at chantillyouth.org. And you can also find us now on YouTube.
TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. And
Leave a
that's-
comment there and we'll be able to
you want
respond.
to give the handle?
CYA Sideline Podcast.
At CYA Sideline Podcast. So we'll hopefully get better at that as the season progresses.
Roll off our tongue. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for
calling.
watching.